What's going on, guys? My name is Joey Franzo with Flex Training Systems, and today bringing you a video talking about the deload. Couple different things that go on with a deload, couple different reasons why you should or should not take a deload. Also going to talk about something that there's not really too much hard evidence for, but I have a shit ton of anecdote. I work with a lot of people, and I definitely believe in sensitizing and desensitizing yourself to and from training. So let's go ahead and get to it. I'm just going to get this part out of the way because everybody wants to know, when should you take a deload. Couple different reasons why you should take a deload. First is if you're having problems with your connective tissue. So if your joints are getting beat up, your tendons are feeling, tendonitis. Fun fact, your tendons can't actually inflame. They don't have an inflammatory mechanism. So if they are swelling up or anything like that, it's got to be where the tendon meets the muscle. There's something called tendinosis, which is kind of it's like a pathology of the actual tendon, which can it means that the structure of the tendon has been altered, and if you guys Google that stuff, you can find out all about that. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is because ice is to bring down inflammation, and people try to ice those things. I mean, if it feels good, that's fine, but after 6 hours, you're not really doing much. You could actually be inhibiting recovery when it comes to icing inflammation. So you need to, if you're going to deload to help that stuff cool off, that's definitely a good idea. Overuse is one of the main reasons to deload. Assuming that you're not having any joint problems, then just causing too much fatigue too quickly, maybe working with higher intensities too frequently, and just beating yourself up might be a good reason to deload. You also have to take a look at where you are from the meet. Do you have enough time to do the deload? And how much time have you been training? If you're deloading every 2 weeks, there's probably a problem with your training, and you should take a look at it and correct some things. If you're just starting a new block and you're getting a little sore, that's not really a reason to deload for me. DOMS is kind of irrelevant. If it's a chronic thing, then you might need to look at your programming. But main thing for deloading is if you're just pushing hard for a long time and you haven't really had one, and you're starting to get beat up, whether your numbers are just taking too much of a hit consistently over time, like we're talking like months and months, and you're just down, your numbers are just so down, or your body's feeling beat to shit, like you can't do normal things because you're so beat from training, then go ahead and take a deload. A couple different ways you can do a deload. If you work with me, you know that I like using RPE, so I don't really deload at all when I'm prepping. Sometimes I do if I'm absolutely destroyed. Maybe I go ham on an AMRAP a couple weeks in a row. Deloading once, if you have no idea what you're doing, deloading once every 4th week is usually pretty safe. But the deload is definitely something that I feel for a while people didn't really pay too much attention to, or they would use a deload week to just kind of not train. When you hit lighter workouts, when you're in a state of fatigue, you can facilitate recovery and actually make progress. Whereas if you just take time off, you're losing the adaptations that you make to your training. And if you train very frequently, you especially don't want to take a week off. If you train everything once a week, you could probably get away with taking a week off. But I really don't know anyone that trains. I don't know anyone that's really competitive that trains all their lifts once a week, except for like Ray Williams. But that's a whole another story. Massive human being. The guy has literally made videos about how he cannot squat twice a week because he just cannot recover. Then again, he's dealing with gigantic weights. So, desensitizing yourself from training is also a benefit to deloading. What do I mean by that? What the hell does that even mean? So, basically, when you deload, you're doing less than what you've adapted to. And depending on how long your deload is, and the individual and a million other things, your body will... You can essentially do the same thing and get a better, end up at a higher, peak. Let me try to give you an example. So let's say you train for 8 weeks, you're doing a shit ton of volume, and you hit a 500 squat. You take a deload for 10 days, you run the exact same program with some tweaks, and you end up hitting a 515 squat, and then you do the same thing, and you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and you're still making progress. How is this possible if you're hitting the same, similar stimulus? The body's obviously going to adapt, but when you deload, it's like it forgets that you were doing, sets of, 10-8-6 on bench. It forgets that these things are going on. It doesn't forget, obviously, because you can still perform the lift, but the adaptations that you've made to that kind of training, it's almost like you build up a buffer to fight against the volume that you're doing. Your body doesn't really see a reason to keep those changes, and kind of if you are still keeping your intensity, and as you deload, you can kind of hold on to that peak strength while desensitizing yourself from all the work that you've done. I shouldn't say the same thing, because there are things that can be adjusted as you do this to make it much more effective, and I think this, like I said, there's not a lot of evidence like in scientific literature to support what I'm saying, but I've seen it like with so many people. When you desensitize yourself from higher volumes, you end up resensitizing yourself to training. You make every little training block that much more effective, and that's why maybe a deload in between your high volume phase and an intensity phase can be very, very useful, or like an intro week where you're doing something similar but it's not nearly as difficult. I really think that not too many people talk about it. I have heard it here and there, but I think just maintaining your peak strength while you can kind of pull back from whatever it is that you were doing, to where when you bring it back in, you'll be at like a net profit. That's how people are able to just make progress over time. It's very confusing if you're new and you're reading things out there. People always say that you need to keep confusing the body, doing all these different things to keep your body guessing. Not really. I've been hitting the big three for a very long time, and I'm still getting better. I just had my best meet recap in the just 2 videos ago, but deloads are very important. I think deloads are very useful. I forgot to mention that they can give you a mental break, although my mindset towards that is that I'm dealing, like a lot of lifters I deal with, they're kind of extreme in that they want to be the best and they're willing to do whatever they got to do. So they don't really care about having a break or not. They just want to do what's going to put them in a position to win. Given that they have, you know, the genetics and everything else to be in a position to win. And I definitely have guys that have beaten out guys that might be more physically intimidating or gifted, but we're just maximizing all of the small little variables, deloading when we're supposed to, auto regulating throughout training, and just making sure that we use deloads and our auto regulation to keep us moving in the right direction. Because if we get hurt, we take steps back and we end up losing. But yeah, I hope you guys were able to take something away from this. I've been, a lot of you have told me that you actually like these audio only videos, because you can just do whatever you're doing and listen and gather the keys. So if you are one of those people, go ahead and drop a like. Potentially leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on. If you have any topics you want me to cover, I will go ahead and do that. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you in the next one.